a healthy precinct enables a party to be flexible enough to deal simultaneously with near problems, medium far problems, far off problems, all at once, because there is an expertise that develops. This is one function. I'll get on this one. One function that the three of the chairs that are sitting at this table would all agree on is that, and there's a lot of things we'd agree on. I don't want you to think that.
I would expect.
Yeah. No, but what we would agree on is that when you have an active precinct team, their knowledge of their precinct becomes a huge treasure. You know, we talk about updated voter lists and this and that, and, you know, is there's really the vote? Do those people really lived there, or have we even walked that apartment complex or whatever?
Right.
But the local person can have the most up-to-date information. Ideally, we would be the experts, not some list from the RNC. It would be us. And this ability of, let's just use like a congressman come in and says, you know, I'm wasn't expecting to be back home, but I could be in your county between 2 and 6 on Tuesday afternoon. Is there anything? Well, when you've got organizational local,
they can get the word out for you.
Yes, immediately, quickly, and I can say, well, I'll call. I've got 35 precinct chairmen. Probably they would.
Is that about what you have in Crete?
I have 35.
Okay.
And that's pretty impressive, 35.
Hang on.
Yeah.
So
hold my beer.
Yeah, but we immediately a precinct chairman said, yeah. And there were times like Kevin Hearn, Congressman Hearn, who is congressman of our eastern half of our county.
Right.
We were the newbies in on his district with redistricting, and he said, you know, I'd really like to be over and I want to visit in Sapulpa, you know. And it's like 3 days notice, 4 days. Well, I just call my local person, and in 3 or 4 days, we have an event at a friend of mine's home who lives in one of these border precincts with Tulsa County. We had a house packed.
Correct.
And it wasn't just I better invite my second cousin and twice cousin 4 times removed and my mom, you know. No, there was quite a few households represented, and from a variety of places. This is an advantage. It gives the county party a quick response capability.
Right.
These organizational wins, like Troy, since you know his county is a little more identifiable with my mind, it's hard for me to comprehend Oklahoma County and Tulsa County, you know, with the stuff that they have to do with. But this win really makes wins coming down the pike so much more manageable and reachable. And so, and if you're looking for a board member, or someone's looking for a board member, someone going to be an appointment, whether the state senator calls, you know, I was just looking at someone, and when you have local eyes, local wisdom, they can say, well, you know what, I know exactly the person to serve on the plumbing board. This guy's right here.
Having that succession planning, working through the precinct level, knowing who's in the bullpen, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Who we can call on is really crucial. Yeah. Just in the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and move over to Rhonda and see what's going on with the precincts and everything in Tulsa County. And by the way, how many do you have in Tulsa County?
We have 252.
252.
And so, no, I do not have all my precincts filled. But we, like I said, we started off in with our precinct training and stuff. And I want to touch on just a couple of things that Mr. Farmer talked about. Number one, I agree. I think, number one, we need to build a bench. We always need to be building a bench. Our problem is with Republicans, we never seem to see past here instead of looking and so building our benches is working on our school boards and our city councils, and finding people from within the precincts. Now, one of the things that was brought to my attention this year that I was unaware is that we can appoint from each precinct someone to be a poll worker at the election with
That's
the election
right.
board.
That's right.
And so that's huge because people can, as you know, anybody can register to be a Republican. So you can register to be a Republican and then offer to volunteer or work as a poll worker as a Republican, but you're no more Republican than somebody else, than the Democrat that's sitting next to you. So I think that's important, and I think where we can fill those roles, we really need to make certain that we do. Tulsa County is a little bit different in our precinct meetings. We're doing ours in central locations based on our House districts. And some of the House districts I had to combine and stuff, but we've got about 14 different meeting places. And our precinct meetings will be held January the 24th at 6 p.m. And I have facilitators that take care of all of the information. Now, the way I'm making people aware of it, of course, is through email. I'm also offering I'm doing 2 Zoom meetings to answer any questions that anybody might have regarding precincts. I've never been to a precinct meeting. Or in 2021 in Tulsa County, for the first time ever, we did our precinct meeting and our convention in the same day.
How'd that go?
And we're not doing that again. Because that was but listen, it was 2021.
Yeah.
Just finding a location to have anything was difficult,
Right.
Right. So, I'm doing advertising in the newspaper. I'm doing social media advertising. So we're trying to really get into the general populace, where it's not just one of us going out and talking, to get people to attend, because by having it in central meeting places, it's now that does not fall on the precinct chairman to be able to determine, how they're going to make people aware. So the responsibility falls on the chair and the central committee. And so we're very happy with doing it that way. We found that a lot of people don't like having strangers come into their home, or they don't like going into strange people's homes. So we're doing centralized locations. One of the things that I think that, and I'm kind of going back on some of the things we talked about previously, that's important and that we've done in Tulsa County, is because we're so large. Having like monthly meetings at first was not going to work. It's too big. But so what I did was I started building coalitions with the different grassroots organizations, conservative organizations, the Republican organizations. We have about 15 of them in Tulsa County. And so that's how I can get the word out on what's
That's
going
what we do.
out.
That's what we do in Creek County.
And it builds we can't be everything to everybody, and they can't be everything to us either. So we have to kind of find places that we can work together to make things happen.
I think that's smart.
And I think that's why you're seeing the success that we're seeing in Tulsa with the city council and the school board races, is because we're building coalitions, we're working together. We don't all think alike. And that's probably one of the hardest lessons that people have got to learn, is that we don't all think alike. But as long as there's a common goal, we can work together. We can put aside our differences. As a grassroots leader, I've worked with Democrats in the past. I've worked with independents. I've worked with libertarians. I don't care who you are. If we have the same goal in mind and we're working towards that, we put aside our differences and we get the job done.
Common goals, objective standards that we can all agree on.
And once we did that, then things start moving a lot differently, but I'm not in competition with any group or organization, and they're not in competition with me. I'm there to help them grow, and in return, it helps the party grow.
And if we're going to hold on to this conservative landscape that we have here in Oklahoma, we have to have unity within our party, and we have to be willing to work with these other conservatives, even if they're not a conservative of our particular stripe.
Right.
I think that's very, very important. I want to shift things a little bit to talk about, the importance, the significance of these precinct meetings in relationship to the state convention. which will be coming up this year. I think a lot of people who first get involved, they don't realize that they can't just pop into the state convention and, hey, I'm a Republican, let me attend. There is a process. There's step by step. You must attend your precinct meeting to be elected or selected as a delegate to your county convention, and then from the county convention, you must be selected as a delegate to your state convention. So what's that looking like for your counties right now? I think we'll go ahead and switch over to Kevin for a little bit on this one, go to Creek.
Well,
how many delegates are you expecting to have from Creek County?
Well, they'll apportion us a certain vote, but what many people don't understand, according to rules, that apportionment, that vote count,
right.
Like let's say it's Creek County gets 44, okay? That 44 is related to any vote for a person in an office. But if there's any vote on platform or rule changes, its body's present. You'll not see that you might have one county that is proportioned 15 votes, but they brought 45.
They're still going to get 15 votes.
Only not for the platform and the and party rules.
We haven't had one of those votes in so long. Nobody
They don't
remember.
remember, but I'm telling you, and this is what I told my folks. I said, you know what? Whether we think that's wise or not, the rules are that when it comes to votes on rule changes or platform or report, anything that's not a race, like to pick a chairman or something, it's voice vote or hand raise. They're not apportioned out. So that is a interesting challenge if you live in a county that's not in the Oklahoma City metropolitan area. In that you need to realize that most of the votes that we're going to cast down there are not going to be proportion votes. They're going to be votes based on how many people that you got registered appropriately and attend. So Tulsa County or Washington County or Creek County, okay, we drive further, but we have a lot of motivation that if we get 44 votes, we don't want just 22 so that they can say, oh, I got like 2 votes whenever those few votes come down. We want as many of the Republicans we can within our jurisdiction because this right now is our current rules. So now it goes back to Creek County has historically had an open delegation at the county convention. So they go through we have done that. That goes back from the time I was.
And briefly, let's explain what the difference is between an open and a closed delegation.
Well, when
anybody can jump in.
As long as I've been affiliated with the Creek County Republican Party, going back to the days when I was district president of College Republicans, okay, back a long
couple years ago.
Yeah, a long time ago. First item of business is that all the registered delegates from the precincts vote to make this an open delegation. It's passed every year. It's never even been close. It's really ingrained in our culture as a county and has been for many administrations. So Creek County, I have no doubt whatsoever we will be. I was talking to the state committee members today, said, oh yeah, we're an open delegation. So it's important. Our precinct meetings are important, but we will go as an open delegation.
Now, Troy, does your county typically do open delegation as well?
We, up till this year, we always have had it a thing of where we'd have our precinct meeting and our county convention all on the same day. If you showed up and you were a registered Republican, we'd send you to your individual precinct and you take care of that business, then we'd have the county convention. That's the way we always did it. This is the first year that we've done it differently. We already had our precinct meeting, and anybody who showed up who was a registered Republican could vote in the precinct meeting. We got their names on the list. Those are the delegates now who next month will be our county convention.
Okay. Now we're talking about doing the state convention. Jump over here to Rhonda and talk about how we're doing it in the precincts there in Tulsa. But we'll also talk to us about the potential for our 2-day state convention.
Right. I can't talk about that.
You can't talk, well, but it will be a 2-day convention.
It will be a
okay.
2-day convention. It's going to be May 5th and 6th. The location is
Yeah,
yet
location
to be
is yet to be
determined.
determined.
Yes. So it will be a 2-day convention. It will start on Friday. There will not be any business. As far as we won't vote on any business. That we will discuss old
Unfinished business from the
unfinished
previous.
business, and then have some breakout sessions, and then on Saturday is when the voting would take
The
place.
state convention will be May 5th and 6th.
May 5th and 6th.
Location to be determined, and if people want to participate, whether it's an open or closed delegation from your precinct, you must attend the precinct meeting in order to go through the
Or
process.
make
of going-
arrangements with your county chairman.
There can be exceptions, yes.
Because I've already had people reach out to me that says, "Hey, listen, I'm going to be out of town on the 24th, so we're gonna make concessions. We don't want to keep anybody out, but at the same time, there are going to be rules that have to be followed, and attending your precinct meeting, and attending your county convention is a precursor to attending the state convention, where once again we'll be voting for our state chair and vice chair, and I think that's it for here, because
Okay.
we don't do the national committee man and woman until next year.
The last thing I wanted to throw out on the table, today we had the state committee
Meeting.
state committee meeting here in Oklahoma City. We had 176 credentialed attendees. And there wasn't a lot of business to be voted on today, but there was one resolution that was brought forward. And I'd like to just throw that on the table and see what your thoughts are on the new resolution. And Rhonda might want to kick off on describing what that involves, since you wrote
the
it.
resolution. I'm going to be the credentials chair for the state convention this year, and having been involved in conventions for 15 years now, I looked at what the major complaints are, and the number one complaint is the amount of time that it takes for us to get a credential report so that we can be about the business of the party. So we have to have our credentials report so that we know what our quorum is, so that when anything passes, we know what the pass mark is, which is going to be 50% plus 1. So credentialing has always taken a long time. In fact, I can even remember one state convention, we didn't even get a credentials report. We just moved on because it literally went on forever. And so that's not what I want. I want people to have a great experience when they come to conventions.
Wouldn't that
I
be
want
nice?
them to want to come back next year.
Yes.
I don't want them leaving, kicking and being angry. So what we proposed in Tulsa County is a pre-registration requirement. So you have to pre-register 3 days, at least a minimum of 3 days in advance of the convention, to be able to attend the convention. And this is going to alleviate a lot of headaches and heartaches and indigestion and all kinds of stuff when it comes to the credentialing process, which will then, if we can move our credentialing process to where we get it done within an hour of closing the registration, we're going to get a lot of business taken care of within the convention. But when it drags on and it's lunchtime or it's 1 o'clock before we ever get around to starting the business of the convention, then nobody wants to stick around. And it's really unfair to the 95% of the people that do pre-register so that we can avoid all of these problems. So all it is it's a pre-registration requirement.
And gentlemen, what are your thoughts on that? How do you think it will be received in your counties?
Well, the pre-registering is going to be popular.
Good.
There was a concern about whether or not there was some confusion in some party rules that still, but so I think that was the main motivator of the initial resistance of the minority about whether to table this or whatever. It wasn't that. I don't think anybody was disagreeing with the spirit of the resolution, and it did pass. Now, looking in hindsight, if indeed there is a conflicting or confusing some passages in our rules regarding this pre-registration and when delegates' names need to be brought back to count, We've got another meeting before we can look
Good.
into this.
Good.
So, it was an attempt to be prudent, but I didn't feel like I was on the losing side of a vote, because what Tulsa County was suggesting is, I think probably we all want that.
I think we all want credentials to go faster than it has
And
in
we
the
want,
past.
and the
accurate.
pre-registration has some
Yeah.
that is something that is good. Would
Troy,
you agree,
your
Troy?
thoughts?
Well, yes. When we combine the two things, when we combine taking care of the problem with proxies, along with taking care of the problem with log jams, with credentialing,
Yeah.
I think that's going to make it a much better process. I've been involved for all of these years now since I think 2010 probably. I'm just trying to think back when I first got involved. This has always been
Yes.
a problem, and it's embarrassing. When I
is.
bring people, I try to get people excited about being a Republican. I want to bring them. I've even brought people as guests before, because even though they couldn't vote on anything,
Sure.
I wanted them to see how everything works.
Exactly.
Okay, so they come and see how everything works.
Yeah.
And then they're demotivated. We want them to be motivated. We want them to be
Right.
engaged. And I think that making some of these changes will be very effective. It will be interesting to see how a 2-day convention goes. That's going to be a little bit of a difference.
That is.
But excited for it's going to be a Cinco de Mayo
you
convention
go.
this year. So that should be
So
good.
it's hold
We'll
my
all come in.
margarita, not hold my beer.
That's right, and come in a sombrero. I think that would be appropriate. I want to thank all of you, Troy Fullerton from Garvin County and Kevin Farmer from Creek County, and of course Rhonda Villamont-Smith from Tulsa County. We appreciate Project 46 for sponsoring us today, and we hope that this has motivated you to get involved at the precinct level and all the way up to the state convention. It is we the people who make these decisions, folks. We need to be involved.
Thank you.